You know, in the opening theme of The Simpsons where Bart's standing up at the chalkboard and he's writing the same, I will not do this, or this, like 100 times? Well, that's me today. I will not get excessively excited about the Penguins' prospects faring well up in Buffalo this weekend. Good morning to you. Good Monday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports, and this is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday if you're into football and or baseball. I also happen to offer daily shots. I know this is news to you, but I also happen to offer daily shots of Steelers and Pirates in the same place that you found this. The Penguins have played 2 of their 3 games in this mini tournament that concludes today with a 5 p.m. game against the host Sabres. And they've done, by every reasonable reckoning, pretty bleeping well. And what I mean when I say that isn't that they've won both games. Rather, it's that the names that you'd want to hear in learning about these games are the ones that you'll hear. Rutger McGroarty, probably the best prospect the Penguins have had in some time, has shown quite well. He's scored, he's set up goals, he's defended. He's looked adept at carrying the puck either on the left or the right side, regardless of what the actual position is off the faceoff. He's kept his chin up, appearing confident as he moves through the neutral zone, and he's just plain old making stuff happen in the attacking zone. That's wonderful. That also was expected, not to downplay it in any way, but he really should be doing that in a tournament like this. I do like that Kyle Dubas entered him in it because it's a nice acclamation for him. He's learning some of his teammates that he'll be with, whether it's in Wilkes-Barre or ultimately in Pittsburgh. He's wearing the sweater. You know, he's doing a little bit of everything. It's a great way to get him into the swim. But the better part, I think, of what's happened in Buffalo is that a handful of other names have come up as well, and they were names that you'd want to come up. Vasily Ponomarev is a smooth, two-way type of forward capable of doing, well, probably the best way to say it in a relatable term is that he's a Mike Sullivan type of player. He's the kind that Sullivan wouldn't say, well, he's got some talent, but I'm terrified to put him out there in X situation or Y situation. If the game is rooted in the back, and it is with Ponomarev, and it is also, by the way, with Ville Koivunen and the next player I was about to mention, both of them having come in the Jake Gensel trade, that's encouraging because that kind of makes them Sully-proof, if you will. They've both done very well in all facets in Buffalo. This episode is brought to you by Bet Online, your number one source for all your summer sports needs this season, from Major League Baseball, golf, NHL, NBA playoffs. Get the latest odds and lines, including all team matchups, player props, odds on just about everything that's out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Bet Online, where the game starts. And yet I'm going to save what's probably the most exciting for the last, even though I'm of the view that McGroarty is, to repeat, best prospect the Penguins have had in some time. I'm always open to being wrong when it comes to goaltending. Why? Because everyone's wrong all the time when it comes to goaltending. Least predictable performance at the least predictable position. However, Sergei Murashov is checking every box you'd want for a young goaltender, not least of which is that he's stopping pucks. He's making all the saves he needs to make. He's making a lot of saves he probably shouldn't make or shouldn't be able to make. And he's also, probably just eccentric enough and engaged enough, and by every accounting, bold enough that he's not going to get stopped by, oh no, I can't do this. He might not even get slowed down by it, whether that's his age, whether that's his prior experience in Russia and how that compares to what's being experienced here now. He's got some of that goaltending flake to him, and I'm not saying that in a mean way. And that's okay. That's okay. I'd much prefer that over the goaltenders, and I'm not picking on anybody specifically when I say this, but I'd prefer that over the goaltenders who experience the heavy-duty crises and have to take 3 steps backward before they take 2 more forward. Give me somebody who understands and appreciates how bizarre you have to be to want to play this ridiculous position, play it at a high level, and still enjoy life. It's cool. It's very cool. And I didn't mean to leave out other prospects who've been doing well. Isaac Beliveau, the defenseman, has been doing well. But I really wanted to refer to the guys that we're looking at and longing to see sooner rather than later. When we come back, J1Q. Today's J1Q comes from Frank, who says, DK, my point of least confidence in this team is at the goaltending position. Do you have doubts about the decision to go with the same 2 guys for another season? Frank, my answer is probably going to surprise you in that it's yes, and it's an unhesitating yes. That's only because Tristan Jarry's part of it. Jarry, to me, brings doubt. Doesn't mean it has to be that way for you. Definitely doesn't mean it has to be that way for the Penguins. But you know what? I'm not the one who stuck him at the end of the bench for the final month of the season when the team had united in a way that it hadn't all season behind Alex Nedeljkovic and behind the cause of trying to get into the playoffs. That, to me, brings doubt, even though Jarry wasn't necessarily bad before that. So you can do this one of 2 ways, Frank, I think. One is the way I just did, which is some sort of intangible, nebulous feeling. 2 is to look at Jarry and Nedeljkovic as a tandem. They were an above average, quite literally, often a top 10 tandem in a 32-team league, based primarily on simple save percentage. Still the most telling way to measure goaltending. So you can say, hey, listen, Mike Sullivan's got his pick. He can ride the hot hand. He can bench the not hot hand and not have it be some big dust up the way it would have been, I don't know, a year or 2 ago. To me, if you treat Jarry as what he is, as opposed to what you hope he should be or what you signed him to be, then you can live with him. And you might even get a satisfactory amount of quality from him. But if you think of him as someone who should have been your franchise guy and signed to 5 years and $26 million and what a deep disappointment this is, then, you're going to start doing things wrong. That's why I think the final month of last season was so significant in this regard, because it finally, I think, did away with this idea that Jarry has to be your number 1. No, he doesn't. If Ned starts against the Rangers on October 9th, the amount of kicked up dust over this will be close to 0. Why? We just went through it for an entire month of the previous season. It's not a big deal anymore. The last time the Penguins and the Rangers met, it was up at the Garden during that fun little run there, and Ned beat them in their own house. So maybe that weighs into it. Maybe it doesn't matter who starts the opener because there's another game the very next night in Detroit. So they're both going to play right away. And look, it's not a dream come true, okay? It's not the 2017 Stanley Cup playoffs where your choice was between the peak version of Matt Murray and, I would argue, one of the peak versions of Marc-Andre Fleury. That was, and we should have recognized it at the time, an embarrassment of riches at the game's most important position. I don't think any team, not even the hallowed Boston duo from the past couple of years, Jeremy Swayman and Linus Ullmark, I don't think any team has had 2 goaltenders under the same roof the way the Penguins did like that since then. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Penguins. We're going to do another one of these tomorrow.